The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of salt, so get ready, nerds, because it's Alien versus Predator week. Welcome, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast. We're talking Aliens versus Predator. So we're going to be talking about the classic best sequel ever made, Aliens. We're going to be talking about Robert Rodriguez's tryout for the Predators movie in Predators. And last but not least, AVP, Alien versus Predator. I'm super excited about this week. I'm joined, as always, by my fantastic panel of nerds. Matt Vader's here.
Hey.
What's up, dude?
I'm good.
You good?
I'm excited.
Are you?
I like all these movies.
Good. Me too. Me too. I can't wait to argue with Kadish about the PWS,
the stanky movie.
The stank movie,
He likes fucking god awful movies, man. He has no leg to stand on when it comes to these movies.
Okay. So. Jude is also here. Welcome.
Hello.
How are you doing? Why you look so excited? What's going on with your eyes, Jude?
Nothing. This is just my face.
Oh my god.
No, I'm excited. Yeah, right. I was very excited for this week.
Excellent. Me too. And Matthew Kadish. Welcome, sir.
So it's kind of funny because we've reviewed Predator. We reviewed Predator 2. Mm-hmm. We reviewed the last Predator, The Predator. And this is the last Predator movie in the series that we haven't reviewed yet. It was Terrible Sequels week, I believe.
I must have been sick or something.
No, we did it. So it's kind of funny to bring it all together with this one. But this is the first Alien movie that we've reviewed as well. Like we haven't done any of the Alien movies.
Well, I'll tell you, for this podcast this week, I can't watch Aliens without watching Alien. So I watched one and two. I was like, they're the same movie to me. It's just a 4-hour movie.
I'm going to come clean with you guys right now. I had no time this week. So I actually did not get a chance to watch Aliens.
You've seen it before.
But I've seen it like 100 million times. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I can quote half the movie. So we're good. I actually watched it a couple months ago.
You probably know more about it than I do.
Probably. But
how'd you feel about Vasquez, man?
Yeah.
It's funny because we saw Vasquez in another movie called Fair Game very recently.
Yeah.
And I found out that she actually, for this movie, they kind of spray tanned her and she dyed her hair black and put in dark contact lenses to make her look more Hispanic, because she's not really a Hispanic actress.
It always throws me when I see her in her brief appearance in Terminator 2.
She was in T2?
She's the mom.
That's what I know her from.
She's the stepmom.
She's the stepmom.
For Eddie Furlong.
Yeah. And so it's like, I never put the two together. It's wild. It's
well, when he said she was in Fair Game, I was like, no, that's not Vasquez. It is. And now watching this movie, I was like, holy shit, it is her. That's crazy. All right.
Yeah, she's a badass.
We're already getting off the track. All right, guys. First movie on our list is Aliens. Before we get into it, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. If you want to support the podcast, you know where to go. SaltyNerdClub.com. That is where the action happens. We are doing classic sci-fi for our patron-only episodes. There's 4 episodes every single month. For January, we did Doctor Who. Starting in February, Jude is taking it away with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And then I think in March, we're going to be doing Eureka. So if you're thirsty for some classic sci-fi stuff, jump into the club membership. There's a ton of extra content there for you, and you get exclusive access in our Discord app. All right, the first movie on our list, Aliens, literally the perfect sequel. Jude, take it away. What is this movie all about?
Totally agree. 1986, Aliens, rated R, the runtime of 2 hours, 17 minutes. This had a budget of $18.5 million. What do you think this brought in?
Oh, shit.
It's all filmed out in space. Super cheap there.
35 million? 50 million? I don't know.
B?
What was the budget?
18.5.
Let's go 45 million.
$131 million.
Nice. Yes.
This was a huge hit.
It's a great freaking movie.
This is one of those rare examples where the sequel is even better, in my opinion, than, or at least as good as the first one.
I don't consider, they're different kinds of movies.
That's what I was going to say.
The first movie's a horror movie.
Yeah.
This movie's an adventure military kick-ass movie.
Which I think is why it complements the first movie so well. Because the first movie is straight up thriller horror.
Right.
And it's very slow paced. It has a Jaws effect where you don't see the alien. I checked because I watched the first one in preparation for the show. I cannot watch this is the only time this happens. I cannot watch the sequel without watching the original first. So I watched Alien, and I'm like,
literally the only time.
The only time that happens.
You're a real boy after all.
This is my one time.
See, but
you love watching the sequels before the original.
I do. I don't know. It's weird.
The thing that's cool about this movie is you don't have to watch the first movie.
Agreed.
You absolutely do not have to watch the first movie. Because they tell you the little story at the very beginning, and then you move on. You don't have to watch it.
I completely disagree.
You're wrong.
I think
but that's okay.
The whole chest bursting thing, everybody's, or especially Ripley, you're connected with her character.
No, for sure.
Because of that first movie. I don't think you can go into like you can if you. I mean,
if you've never seen the original Aliens and you watch this movie, you won't be lost. You'll know everything that you need to know. But having watched the first one makes this one even better.
Yeah. But like I was saying, I think the reason why this works so well as a sequel is because it's so different, and it's not just a retread of the first movie. It's
I think you're right.
It's like a whole new genre. Like we're going into the action adventure, shoot 'em up, alien fight thing. It's not at all like the first one. So. I freaking adore this movie. Anyway, Jude, take it away. What's the synopsis?
Okay. Ripley awakes from a 57-year nap aboard a new ship. She was discovered by salvagers, and she's got some explaining to do to the company. They want to know why she destroyed their ship and if her insurance covers the self-destruct button. She tells them about the xenomorphs, but they're like, yes, I see you're an hysterical woman. And she's like, listen, those things will kill everyone. And they're like, see, she clearly has breasts. I wonder if she knows how to make sandwiches. So then Paul Reiser's like, BT dubs, we lost contact with everyone on that moon. You want to go back with me, my ulterior motive, and a bunch of highly trained, not really, Marines and prove you're not hysterical? And she's like, yeah. So then they go, and Paul Reiser tries to get them killed by being that guy who's like, I bet I can make a weapon out of this thing that's definitely going to kill me. And it does. Ripley meets Newt, the sole survivor of the moon colony. And she's like, I have PTSD too. Want to be a family? And Newt's like, yep. So then Newt falls into a pit of despair. And when Ripley tries to rescue her, she finds like a bunch of other kids. Alien baby pods be poppin'. And alien mama is like, yo, you want to stay and be my kid's meat suit? And Ripley's like, no. Did you want to suck my flamethrower? And alien mama's like, all right, cool. Fuck off then. Take your gross human kid with you. And then Ripley's like, bitch, burn. So then mama alien's like, oh, no, you didn't. And then they have like 4 minutes to get to safety before the colony blows up. And Ripley jumps into a robot body and she's like, get away from her, you bitch. And opens the airlock and everybody almost dies some more. But then Bishop, a good robot, saves the day a couple of times. And then they all change into PJs and go back into cryo nap headed to Earth. The end.
Dun, dun, dun.
That was dope.
That's all right.
Just like sucking my flamethrower, bitch.
Except the Marines were highly trained Marines.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
You didn't think the Marines were highly trained?
Not for this.
They were freaking meatheads, bro.
Yeah.
But they were very well trained Marines.
For Marines.
They didn't know what they were getting themselves
no
into.
disrespect towards Marines, but like, if you're a Marine, do you want to go out into space?
They're
Is that what
space
you're training
Marines.
for?
That's exactly what they do.
I'm just saying.
They go to other planets. There's even a conversation where they were talking about, banging the four-breasted or whatever. There's
there?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow, I must have missed that.
You're like, remember that time
You ever
on
get
that
some
moon?
of that Arcturian poontang or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know what the quote
and
is
the one
exactly.
guy's like, you had a dude one. He's like, it don't matter if it's alien.
That's right. Yeah, they were making fun of him
when they're all waking up and stuff.
They were basically cowboys.
Okay.
They were not ready for this.
Listen, I love the Marines. I love them. They make this movie. I could give a shit about Ripley.
Oh, for sure.
I like the Marines. Hicks and Vasquez and all these guys.
I'm Team Ripley all the way on this movie.
Hey, Vasquez, you ever been mistaken for a man?
No. Have you?
Awesome. You know what's great about the Marines in this? So, like, this was a long shoot, and James Cameron saved all those scenes for the end of the movie or for the end of the shoot because he wanted the actors to get that camaraderie. So, like, when we wake up, we feel like this is a squad that's been together for a long time, and the time that they spent shooting the movie together up to that point really comes across. And that's one of the reasons why James Cameron is such a brilliant director, is like little things like that.
It totally comes across.
I genuinely feel like this unit of Marines were like in this shit together. Yeah. Because they have that.
They all have their
They
quirks.
have that camaraderie.
Dude, when they go down to the planet,
they all know each other's way they're going to do and everything. Yeah, for sure.
And Hicks is like just freaking falling asleep, and the sergeant's like, somebody wake up Hicks. Like, it's stuff like that that makes it work.
And there's little things like, for instance, Vasquez and that guy Drake, like the Albano type guy. So like there was backstory to them where like they grew up orphans on this like remote colony, and they got drafted into the military, and they kind of like stuck together. So like there's like lots of layers to this that like isn't in the movie, but like there's backstory out there if you want to find it.
But you can pick up on there's a history there, and it makes you you more invested in these characters. It's like within the first 30 minutes of this movie, before any of the action, before they make landfall on the planet, you're invested in all of these characters, every single one of them. You know, and that's just something I appreciate about this movie. You know, even what's the captain, the leader guy's name?
The corporal that's
Gorman. Even him, you know, you want to know what's up with him. And fucking Bishop. You know, I told you guys my story about.
Well, tell it again because it's been a minute.
Oh, it's awful. It was so embarrassing. You know, back in the day, Lance Henriksen.
Oh, that's who you did that to?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, fucking Lance Henriksen comes into the casino I'm working at up in Oregon because he's driving back and forth Interstate 5 to a Millennium or whatever that goofy show was that he was on. Millennium, yeah. And he would pop into our casino on his driving back and forth because I think he had a house or something. He lived in Northern California, but we were right on his trip. And he would pop in. And the stupid nerd that I am, and I'm a floor guy, and he's playing blackjack, and I walk up to him and he goes, "Hey, how you doing?" And I just like, what comes out of my mouth is the most embarrassing shit ever, because I never really talked to celebrities before, and I'm so what did I say? It was something stupid like,
"Can you really do that?
Can you do the knife thing? You know, did you really do the knife thing?" Something like that, and he just looked at me like I was the biggest fucking idiot. And he told me to fuck off with his eyes, you know? And so I did. I just went and fucked off. And I was embarrassed, and I swore to myself I was never going to talk to a celebrity again.
And here you are.
And here I am. So it was awful.
Man.
Yeah.
I wonder if he remembers that.
Oh, I gotta hope not.
I would love to talk to that guy.
But yeah, it was fun.
So there was something that I noticed about the first movie and this movie, and we're talking about like the camaraderie of the crew and stuff like that, and the way that the interacting between the actors and the dialogue and how it kind of like overlaps, there was a charm to that in the first movie where like they were arguing, they were talking over each other, but they all had these little quips. Parker is one of my favorite characters from the first movie. He always had some freaking side eye to throw at the freaking company or whatever. Like, it felt so natural, and that carried over into this movie. I felt the same exact way. I'm like, I can't remember a modern movie that has dialogue quite like this. Maybe a James Gunn movie like Suicide Squad or something. But
there's a reason Alien is a very popular, well thought of classic movie. Yeah, it's a great movie. When it's
barely aged. Like I just watched it this week, and it's like
it's how do you make a movie in the 70s, a sci-fi movie, alien movie that looks like it was made 2 fucking years ago. Yeah, it holds up well. Yeah, it really does.
I rewatched the first one also. Like, it's been a long time since I've seen Alien or Aliens, and when I rewatched Aliens, there was a lot in it that I thought was in the first movie that I was like, oh shit, that's not in the first movie. That's in this one. Like, I thought Burke was a character in the first movie, and I was like, oh shit, he's in this one, not that one. So after I watched this, I went back and watched the first one, just like you, Alex, and reacquainted myself with the story of the first one, and I couldn't believe that it was 1979 that it came out. I didn't remember that. Yeah, and like the whole time I was like, God damn, this still holds up so good.
It does.
The alien is super fucking scary.
Yep. The atmosphere of in this movie too, of like that old analog 1970s, 80s freaking technology stuff. Like I freaking love that. The vibe of it just feels so good, and the tactile and the sound effects that they use, and just
there's no CGI.
No, it's all model work.
It's and freaking all.
So I think
it's just an amazing. All these movies were just so well put together. Yeah. There's a really good episode of the movies that made us that goes over this movie. It's got a lot of really cool shit in it.
That reminds me, I've never told anybody this. This is going to be a first for the podcast. Okay, so when I was a kid, I can't remember, somebody on the internet might be able to find it, but there was a commercial for something like a Sega Genesis or something like that. And it was this kid in his living room, sitting in front of a TV, you know, the big old TV with the big knobs on the side, like channel 3 to play video games. And he was there and he thought his mom had brought him like a snack or something. He goes, "Oh, thanks, Mom." He turns and the freaking alien is there. That commercial gave me freaking reoccurring nightmares for most of my youth. I can still remember the nightmare. Like, I was in a house. It wasn't my house. It was just some random house. And I'm being chased by one of these goddamn aliens.
You're going to have to make him look that commercial up.
It's out there somewhere. I don't know. I can't remember. It's a 90s commercial. I can't remember if it's a video game or freaking Hot Pockets. I don't know what it was for, but it was something. And they were advertising with aliens. And
you know, that's how you get kids.
It scared the shit out of me.
You cross promote with rated R movies.
Yeah.
That's how you roll. That's how the 80s was good, man.
Yeah, man. I remember running out of the house with the alien behind me, and I ran into like an Astro van, the one with the double doors in the back.
Yeah, yeah.
And somebody was driving, and they were like, "Come on!" And I'm like, "Ah!" Like, I had that dream multiple times.
Like kids got that commercial right after they got the nuclear waste acid vat bath RoboCop figure.
Yes.
You know, so yeah, it was great.
Another classic 80s. Kate, shill about this movie.
All right. So it's no secret I am a huge James Cameron fan. I think he's up there with like Hitchcock in terms of like the pantheon of brilliant filmmakers. But when he was making this movie, he wasn't the James Cameron yet. So what happened was very early on in his career, before he even made Terminator, he got hired by the producers David Giler and Walter Hill to write the sequel to Aliens. And basically, they came up with the story where they're like, we want Ripley to come back, and she teams up with some military types in space. And that was basically like what they gave him. And he's like, okay, I think I can turn that into something. And so while he's working on this script, he's also working on the script for Terminator, and he's working on the script for Rambo First Blood Part 2. And so he's working on 3 scripts at once. And he turns in like a draft that's like 90% complete. And Walter Hill loves it. Like, he just thinks like this treatment is brilliant. And James Cameron's like, well, I have to go off and shoot this movie Terminator. So you might want to, you know, basically get someone else to come in and finish the script. And Walter Hill's like, no, dude, you're so good. We're going to wait for you. So like after you finish Terminator, come back and work on our script. And he's like, okay. So he goes and he makes Terminator. And while this is going on, like the producers bring like the script to like to Fox, which is the studio, I believe. And the head of the guy who runs the studio, he liked the script so much where he's like, we're going to hold off going into production because I hear good things about this Cameron guy.
This James Cameron kid, he's got something.
No joke. Yeah. And so like once Terminator became a huge hit, everyone was like, okay, we got James Cameron attached to this thing. This is going to be his next movie. Yeah. And so James Cameron comes on board with his wife/producing partner, Gail Ann Hurd, to do this thing. And, you know, part of his script was that, you know, Ripley comes back. But at the time, like there was like a big kind of stigma attached to sequels where they're like, they cost twice as much and make half as much. And so like nobody wanted to do like a sequel, especially Sigourney Weaver, because she was like, well, the first movie was so good, I don't want to tarnish it by coming back and doing a crappy sequel. And so like, you know, James Cameron was like, I'm not going to do this movie without Sigourney Weaver. And so the studio was negotiating with her people, and Sigourney Weaver's people were like, we want more money, we want more money, we want more money. And so Cameron was like, okay. He calls up Schwarzenegger's agent, and you know, he's just kind of talking to him, and he says like, yeah, man, you know, like I'm ready to write Ripley out of the story and just go with like a completely different actress. And Schwarzenegger's agent mentions this at a lunch with Sigourney Weaver's agent, and immediately they call up the studio and they're like, yeah, we're ready to deal. and so Cameron like played Cameron played some mind games to get Sigourney Weaver back on the thing, on the movie. But what was really interesting about this film is that it was like one of the most difficult shoots for Cameron to do at the time, because they were shooting it at Pinewood Studios in London, England. And Pinewood was where they shot the original Aliens. And Pinewood is unique in the sense that normally like you'd hire your crew and then you'd go to a studio to shoot the movie. But with Pinewood, they have like unionized crews that like are with the studio. And so like when you shoot there, you shoot with like a pre-made crew that Pinewood gives you. And so Cameron came in, and nobody in Britain knew who the fuck he was. Like Terminator hadn't come out there yet. They didn't know who he was. And they had worked with Ridley Scott on the first Alien, and they're like, this guy's not Ridley Scott. And so Cameron had a first assistant director and a cinematographer who didn't like him. And they kind of resented working with him because they looked at him as kind of an upstart. And he ended up firing both guys and pissing off the rest of the crew because they're like, hey, those are our buddies. And the crew in England was so used to like a very lax work schedule. Like they'd be in the middle of shooting a scene and then they'd take a tea break and everyone would be like, what the hell, man? And so Cameron would like, basically like when the crew was on break, he would do every job and keep shooting. And so like, it was just this culture clash between him and this British crew, which was used to just kind of like doing things, you know, in a very lackadaisical way.
It's tea time, man.
Yeah.
What do you mean tea time?
What about second breakfast?
It's tea time. We break for tea time.
And the crew also resented Gillian Hurd because they were like, she's banging the director. That's the only reason she has the job.
She was a bit of a ball buster, though.
Well, she was the only one who could tell James Cameron his ideas sucked.
It's like me and you.
Yeah, exactly. So she was the only one who could rein him in. And it was funny because Hicks, who's played by Michael Biehn in this movie, originally James Remar, Dexter's dad, was cast in the role.
Going to ask you if you were going to touch on that.
Yeah, and basically he was replaced like a week into shooting with Michael Biehn, and the reason for that was like Remar was like so into drugs at the time, and the only reason he got cast was because he had worked with Walter Hill on The Warriors, and so like he was like he was such a drug addict at the time that like he was just like flubbing his lines and stuff like that. But there's a scene where they're going into like the alien's nest, and every time you see Michael Bihn's character Hicks from behind, that's actually James Remar, because they didn't have the budget to reshoot that scene at the time, and so Michael Biehn kind of came in late to the game and took over the role.
Oh, that's cool. I like that trivia.
I totally have that. Warriors.
Yeah,
a scene stuck in my head now.
I'm telling you, man, watch the movies that made us this episode.
I will.
It's really good.
I love that show.
The story behind the making of this movie was really amazing, but like just James Cameron is one of those people, he understands storytelling to such a degree that one of the things that struck me about this movie is like the first act of this movie is very slow. Like they take their time to set up everything. In fact, there's a scene where Hicks takes Sigourney Weaver aside and shows her how to use a gun.
Yeah. After things have already gone to shit, they take the time and say, okay, this is that. And she's like, well, what's this? Oh, that's a grenade launcher. You don't want to mess with that. She's like, yeah, I do.
Yeah, but it flowed though. It
and
worked.
it's a little bit flirtatious too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But also like just that one scene completely sets up like, okay, now she knows how to use all these things at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So like basic little storytelling things like that is stuff that we miss in Hollywood nowadays. But James Cameron back in the 80s, like he just inherently knew how to do this stuff.
It's like we know that she knows how to use the loader because they set it up at the beginning. It's like, where do you want this thing? I know how to use these things. This is what I did this for a job.
Because she's like a disgraced scientist at that point. So that's the only job that she could get.
She was like an officer on like a huge ship, the Nostromo, which is a $43 billion ship?
It was a cargo ship.
Yeah. She was a third officer on that ship. So she's like pretty high up there as far as rank goes. And then after this whole debacle happens, she gets relegated to a freaking forklift operator.
Because she's an hysterical woman and nobody believes her.
Exactly.
But it's basic setup and payoff. Like they set up everything in this movie.
Yeah.
And they use the entire first act to do it. And yet it doesn't feel like it drags. But modern movie nowadays would never take the time this movie took to set up everything that happens later on in the film.
At no point did I feel like, okay, here's the prerequisite info dump. It was just part of the story and part of the character development.
They made it interesting.
And it was interesting,
There was very few movies in the 80s that affected me as much as this movie did. This movie was such a weird... It filled such a weird hole for me. I mean,
it's freaking Space Marine versus aliens, bro.
It's just an awesome.
It's amazing.
It's just, it has everything I wanted in the movies back then.
Yeah. And the special effects in this movie were like groundbreaking for the time, but they still hold up. One of the interesting things is that, so like every time you see a computer screen on camera in this movie, so computer screens refresh at 25 frames per second, and you usually shoot film at 24 frames per second. And so it creates a flicker like if you film a computer screen out of sync, right? And so what they had to do is they actually filmed every time there was like a computer screen in the shot, they filmed it at 25 frames per second to sync up with the computer to monitor.
Oh, whoa.
And that's why when it plays back at 24 frames per second, everything on a computer screen is just a little bit slower than what's going on around it.
Oh, that's very interesting. That's
I feel like the only thing that's outdated in this movie is the amount of cigarette smoke.
cool.
Because everyone's just constantly smoking. I'm like,
Right,
that's so 80s.
No, but
But even like the studio executives, when they were watching the dailies, they were like, you know, what are we spending all this money on special effects for? Like you've already like built the sets and stuff like that. And Galen Turner's like, no, those are miniatures. You're watching the special effects. And the studio executives were like, what?
Well, we just saw a scene where the spaceship was flying through space with the planet behind it.
Yeah.
It looks freaking gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
it looks like
I mean,
something they'd make today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible. I
It's-
prefer
it's-
miniature work over the CGI
100.
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like the only movie that I can think of that recently that came out that really blurs the line between what's a model and what's CGI is Rogue One. That scene where the Star Destroyer comes out and the sun hits it. I'm like, I don't know. I can't tell if it's CGI or not. It looks like a freaking model.
It's good.
That's the only recent movie I can think
I
of.
love practical effects.
Yeah.
They just add a different dimension to.
It's a
film.
yeah. It feels
Yeah.
like you can reach out and touch it.
And every effect in this had to be practical because there was no CGI at the time.
Well, no, it was not 80.
There's a little bit of CGI, isn't there?
86.
86.
When did Abyss
Yeah.
come out? Abyss was the first, like, and then T2.
Abyss was after this.
Was it after this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Because like I said, like
Yeah.
Terminator had just come
Well,
out.
shit. Even the giant freaking alien,
The Queen.
Mother Queen thing was a practical,
Mhm.
and it was all puppetry and shit like that.
Yeah.
That was insane. It was
The Abyss was 89.
89.
Yeah,
okay.
this movie just was. It's everything I wanted in a movie back then, and
Yeah.
it had a profound effect. You know, I used to work a lot with my hands. I actually wanted to be. There was a time in my life where I really wanted to be a practical effects,
like a model maker.
type kind of guy. You know, I used to make a lot of Halloween stuff in my garage. I sold props on eBay
Whoa.
for miniature gaming, that kind of stuff. It was something I like seriously looked into, and these kind of movies just always scratched that itch. And I appreciate this movie on so
Yeah.
many levels. So
I was watching this movie and I want to ask Jude something. So you've talked about before how like every time they introduce a female character who's a hero, they have to either give her a love interest or like a daughter figure or like a mother thing. How did you feel about how they handled it in this one? Because they literally did that. Like Sigourney Weaver in the
but
first movie.
her being the strong female character was introduced in the first
Right.
movie. So you already know who this character is going in,
Mhm.
unless you're like you and you watch the sequel first. And like me this week. But no, it wasn't so like her love interest with Hicks
Yeah.
was just sort of a flirtation, but it gave you that kind of investment. Like, I now have this sort of relationship with this person, not necessarily a romantic one or a sexual one or anything, but like they kind of connected. And now you get this whole sense of, fuck, I can't let this person die.
Mhm.
It wasn't forced. And like with Newt, like it also wasn't forced that this is now her child. I know Newt calls her mommy at one point, but Newt's a kid.
Yeah.
And that's a realistic thing that a kid would latch onto is like, you know, I don't have a parent, I need a parent.
Right.
But Newt's the only survivor from this whole colony, and the fact that she survived with no training, and Ripley says it at one point, this little girl survived with no training, no weapons for longer than any of us need to be here.
Yeah.
Like that.
And that's kind of a mirror of what happened with Ripley in the previous movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, like that gives Newt like
More agency.
More agency, yeah. And again, Ripley is the hero, and Ripley's like, I have to get all of these people that I like
Now care about.
now
yeah.
care about. I have to save them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Ripley is like the quintessential, like if you want a strong female character, you look at what they did with Ripley. And I think this was the movie that really cemented it, because James Cameron's always been really good at writing strong female characters, but
Yeah.
just strong characters in general. I don't like to assign a gender to strong characters.
Exactly. And that's the thing about Ripley. I think originally she was written as
Yeah.
a man, and you could easily swap out a man into this role. Her
sure.
character is not, the defining characteristic about her character isn't that she's a woman.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a strong female character.
Totally agree. Cool. Glad we're on the same page.
we got to talk about Bill Paxton.
Game over, man.
Game over, man.
Why'd you put her in charge? Yeah.
I love how panicky he gets as soon as shit goes down. He's like, "We're not ready for this, man. We're not gonna make it, bro."
Well, it's funny because when Paxton heard that Cameron was making this movie, you know, they were friends, and he was like, "Man, you better write me a good part in that movie." and Cameron was like, "Oh, you want to be in it? Okay, I'll write you a part." And so like he wrote the part of, was it Hudson?
Yeah.
Shit, I can't remember his name.
No, it's Hudson.
Hudson.
Okay.
And basically on set, Bill Paxton ad-libbed all of his lines.
Really?
Yeah,
No way.
So like the game over man thing, the you know, drop your linens, and you know,
Oh my God.
whatever it is. Like he came up with all that stuff, and
Well, that was the sergeant, but yeah, okay.
yeah. Well, pretty much everything that Bill Paxton says,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
movie
Okay.
came from him.
All right,
I told you I didn't need to watch this.
Bill Paxton is a freaking. I miss him, man.
Yeah,
I really.
I do.
It's really. I actually got to meet him a few times.
No way.
He's
dur-
dead?
Man. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he passed away a while ago.
Well, like 5 or 6 years ago now.
Really?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Shit.
not expected either. It was sudden.
Yeah.
But around the time he was on Big Love, I ran into him at a few film festivals a couple times. He
I
was just the
loved Big
coolest.
Love.
He was the coolest guy, man.
Seems like it. I love him in Twister. That movie.
Yeah, Twister's fun. I
He
like
makes that movie. Like that movie could have been bad, but Bill Paxton's in it. It's great.
We haven't watched that for the show yet.
What was his character in Weird Science?
Oh,
Was it Chet?
Chet, yeah.
All right. Final thoughts
What's your favorite part of the movie?
of this movie?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I mean, I know what mine is, but
There's so many, dude. I adore this movie. I don't know if I can pick one moment.
yeah.
I mean, it feels cliche to say this, but I mean the hero moment for Ripley
In
when
the
she's
end.
got the freaking machine gun and the flamethrower like duct taped together.
Yeah, that's
and
pretty
she's
cool.
like, "Bishop, don't freaking move. I'll be back in 15 minutes."
Yeah.
And he's like, "We're gonna die. I don't give a shit."
I think
That was a freaking awesome.
She's like, Hicks, don't let him. And Hicks is just like, we're not
"We're
going
not
anywhere.
going anywhere."
I feel like
Hicks is all fucked up.
Yeah.
I feel like
He's about
this
to
is
take a nap.
I feel like this is one of those movies we could just do a 2-hour show on.
Oh,
all by
absolutely.
itself.
Yeah.
But you know, for me, my favorite part, and I know you didn't ask me what my favorite part
Oh,
is.
go ahead, man.
It's always stuck with me, the scene where the Marines are going into the base where the colonists have been cocooned,
And you walk in, it's like
and
a nest. It's all-
that's just the scene. I always have it in my head that that's the lady in the cocoon is Newt's mom. I know it probably isn't, but when her eyes open. And everybody goes, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
You know, and then the shit gets real,
Yeah.
and the aliens start coming out of the ceiling and the walls, and the fucking flamethrowers go. That scene just is everything to me for some reason in this movie. It's so intense. It's
Yeah.
such groundbreaking effects, practical fucking effects.
Yes.
Okay. It was unbelievable what they pulled off with that. It was wild.
And that set of the alien
Yeah.
nest went on to become Acme Chemicals in Batman.
It's just
that's what
No
they used
way,
for it.
really?
That scene in particular it's incredible what they did there. It's wild.
You just jogged my memory. So my favorite, I love Ripley. Her whole hero thing is great, but my favorite moment in this movie is when Newt is in that water.
Mhm. Oh,
And
freaky.
it's just a scene. Newt's tiny. She looks small in the frame, and this freaking alien comes out of the water behind her. Freaking
amazing.
take a picture of it and put it on my
Yeah.
wall. It's incredible.
Absolutely
Incredible. Jude, favorite moment and final thoughts.
Gosh, this movie is just so good from start to finish. But I guess you guys took the good ones. I will say, like one of the scenes that's like, it's like an oh shit moment, and there's so many throughout this whole movie. But one of the ones that kind of sticks out for me is when Ripley she found Newt.
Mm-hmm.
She scoops her up. She's on her way out, and then she sees all the eggs, and you see out of frame, like bloop, like something is like putting these eggs out there, and then you pan to the size of Mama Alien,
Oh, God.
and you're like, oh shit!
That moment where she points the flamethrower at the egg and she's like, "Fuck around and find out."
and you can see there's a connection between Ripley with her makeshift daughter and the alien mother with her babies, and they both agree to leave each other alone until one of them opens, and Ripley's like, "We're not gonna get out of here alive.
Yeah.
I have to kill these." And then that's why the mother alien is like, "Bitch!"
You know,
Also in that scene, they had to make a foam like Newt. So like she could carry, like Sigourney Weaver could physically carry.
Oh yeah, because she's booking.
Yeah. So like, you know, like it's just one of those weird things where you don't think that's an effect, but every time you see Sigourney Weaver carrying Newt, like that's a fake Newt.
Whoa,
cool.
I did not know that. That's cool.
You know, there's just so much about this movie. Even the iconic sound of the rifles going off the.
Yeah,
I can't do it right.
Oh,
but
also the motion sensor. Creating the tension where it's like.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's great.
And they used Steadicam rigs to carry those like huge guns. So like they like just duct tape these things to these Steadicam rigs because the guns were so heavy.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Vasquez.
What's your favorite part, Kadish?
So my favorite part is in Act 3 where Sigourney Weaver comes out in the heavy loader and she's like, "Get away from her, you bitch!" Like that's just such an iconic moment in this movie. And this really is like, you know, Cameron's amazing at sequels. Like he just knows how to like find like the right narrative thread and carry it to its logical conclusion. But he does everything that a good sequel should. He takes the original story, he expands upon it, he makes it more interesting, he introduces new characters, he ups the stakes. Everything about this movie is just textbook what you want from like a good sequel. And this is no joke, like a 5-star movie. This is a movie where like classes should be taught about like how to make sequels based off of this movie.
My favorite part about watching this movie was when Kadish said out loud, "Get away from her, you bitch."
I am 100% in agreement with
5-star.
This is going on. This is a 5-star movie.
I agree.
It is absolutely a 5-star movie.
Same.
And I think it's my fourth or fifth one
for the show.
I thought
well, Raiders, Wrath of Khan. What was the third one? Ghostbusters,
original Ghostbusters, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe this one?
So
maybe 4 then?
4 of them? Right on. Yeah, I totally agree. 5-star movie for me. It's up there with the perfect sequels of all time, like Empire Strikes Back and shit like that. Like, this is the perfect sequel.
Yeah.
It's
incredible.
And T2 are my top like
both
sequels.
James Cameron films.
Yeah, T2, Aliens, Empire Strikes Back.
T2 is what got me into filmmaking.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, we have not talked about Terminator, have we?
Well, we need to go down
there. We need a Terminator week. All right, we're done shilling about this movie.
I hate it when we all agree.
I know, it's weird. 5-star movie across the board. All right, everybody, the next movie on our list.
Wait, whoa.
What?
That's a first time.
We all gave it 5 stars.
For this show, we've never had a 5-star go all the way around. In fact, I think I fucked it up once because I didn't do it.
It's a 4-way 5-star.
Hey, get some confetti or something.
This is like the greatest movie we've ever talked about on the Salty Nerd podcast.
We could easily talk about it for 2 hours, but we're not going to. All right. The next movie on our list is Predators. Predators. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, if you guys would like to support the podcast and get some cool merch in return, go to saltynerdstore.com. You can get my shirt that I'm wearing right now with the official Salty Nerd logo. You can get Vader's shirt over there. Jude is also wearing her awesome tank top with the logo on there.
That's a really nice tank top.
Kadish is wearing Creepazoid. Are we all wearing like merch store shirts?
Good for us.
That's great.
Yeah, we got some really interesting shirts over there. Like we had a couple's t-shirt with Ghostbusters inspiration called I Am the Keymaster and I Am the Gatekeeper.
I gotta get that from me and my wife.
Yeah.
She'd never wear it.
Yeah. And we also,
I'll wear it.
we also got some like You Nerd and YouTube or You Goonie shirts and stuff like that. So like there's a lot of cool stuff there. If you're a movie buff, we have a lot of like really cool kind of like movie joke t-shirts.
Nerdy shirts.
Check them out. And we'd love to see if you guys...
Which one does the girl wear? The Gatekeeper or the Keymaster?
Gatekeeper.
I think
because
it depends on how you identify.
So the dude is the key.
And gate
and
then
it's kind of
insert.
Dude, that's kind of dirty.
We don't judge.
That's very dirty.
That's kind of a dirty shirt.
It's a dirty shirt.
All right, man.
We do a lot of stuff like that. That went off the rails. All right. The next movie on our list is Predators, Robert Rodriguez's take on the classic movie, the Schwarzenegger movie. Jude, take it away. What is this all about?
Okay. 2010 Predators.
Rated
Rated R with a runtime of 1 hour, 47 minutes. This had a budget of $40 million, 40. What do you think this brought in?
Not as much as I expected. It didn't make a sequel. They didn't make any more with Robert Rodriguez, I don't think. I don't know, 45, maybe 50 million. Not that much.
Every time I go low, I can't play this game. Every time I go low, it's high. Every time I go high, it's like it made $2.
Give me your best shot.
I'm 92 million.
$127 million.
Thank you.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, this was actually quite a success.
Oh, cool. Well, I like Robert Rodriguez, so good. Go ahead, Jude.
All right, sir. A group of the most dangerous humans on Earth and Topher Grace find themselves free-falling into a jungle. Not knowing who's to blame, they decide to work together until they figure out who their enemy is and what they want. The group soon realizes they're on an alien game preserve planet, and they were chosen to be hunted. When they discover a feud between two kinds of predators, Adrian Brodey aligns himself with the OG predator who has a ship. But the super aggro predator interferes and blows the ship up. Meanwhile, it turns out Topher Grace is a serial killer. But honestly, who cares? The pianist returns just in time to prevent Eric Foreman from killing the leader of the Maltese Resistance / last surviving member of the group from Earth, and then booby traps Foreman's body to take out the hunters. The sole survivors, Luca Trangretta and the Queen of the South, wait out the rest of the night and are awakened in the morning by a new batch of dangerous humans falling to the planet.
Topher Grace kills this movie.
I felt
stop.
There were a lot of storylines that I was like, I don't really care about. I didn't really need the whole, I'm a very serious serial killer from Topher Grace.
Is Christopher. Okay. This Topher bullshit is just stupid actor nonsense.
Did you know that Sigourney Weaver's first name is Susan? Sigourney is a stage name.
That's cool.
I did not know that.
Oh, that's fine.
Good for her. Topher. Dumb.
See?
Stupid.
Double standard.
Okay, Vader.
Yeah, right. Dude calls himself Vader. Dude, I don't know, Topher Grace, Christopher, whatever his name is. He doesn't belong in this movie, man.
No.
I knew what they were trying to do.
He didn't belong in Spider-Man either.
I get what they were trying to do. Like, the freaking jigsaw, creepy dude who's unassuming, but also a psychopath. Like, but it just...
who cares?
It doesn't fit.
No.
It doesn't fit. These are supposed to be like freaking alpha male, aggressive, shoot 'em up dudes like Arnold and his team. And then you stick like skinny little Topher Grace in there. I'm just like,
hey guys, what am I doing here?
And the other thing that really took me out of it too, not to shit on this movie completely because I do enjoy it, but that scene where the Russian dude walks by the plant, and you're like, I'm gonna poke it, and he's like, don't touch it.
And I love him.
Well, he is a doctor.
I know, but it's an alien plant.
Yeah,
from an alien world. How does he know what it is, and how does he know that it's like freaking? Oh yeah, that'll paralyze you with one cut. Like, dude. You're on a freaking alien planet. What are you talking about?
I mean,
at that point, did they know they were on an alien planet? I don't think so.
Another alien planet wouldn't evolve and come up similar to what our planet looks like.
I'm calling bullshit. Sorry.
Okay.
But other than that glaring flaw of Topher Grace being in this movie, in general, I have fun with it.
Me too.
It's a fun movie.
I like this movie.
It's a turn your brain off, watch cool things happen, and
Walton Goggins is in this.
Walton Goggins. He's the Danny Trejo.
Yeah, Danny Trejo, which was the reason why I wanted to watch this. I was like, oh shit, I've never seen.
He's not in it for very long.
No.
Danny Trejo, Robert Rodrigez,
Marshala Ali is in
this.
That's
right.
He's the he was the African warlord.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow, he looks way different now.
He's the new Blade in Marvel in the movie.
It's like I said, he looks different now to me.
Yeah, and if you're a UFC fan, Oleg Taktarov plays the Russian dude. I've been a fan of his since the fucking 90s.
Laurence Fishburn.
He's the
Laurence Fishburne's in this movie. Yeah,
I wasn't done talking about
Jude,
my Russian bear.
She's like, guys,
he's the Russian bear, and I love him.
Right on. The cast is fantastic, and Adrian Brodey is an incredible actor. That dude can pull off anything.
Really
Isn't it weird?
He can play anything.
When this movie first came out, I was like, Adrian Brodey?
Mm-hmm.
Get the fuck out of here.
The fucking pianist?
This pianist dude? It's like, no, there's no way he's going to cover an Arnold Schwarzenegger type role in a Predator movie. But dude, he's fucking ripped.
Yeah.
It's just like, I was shocked the first time I watched this movie, and even now to a certain extent, at how much I bought in to his character in this movie. I was really surprised.
Yeah.
And that it makes me like this movie that much better.
Also, Alice Braga, who plays Isabel, the I think she was Israeli Special Forces in this movie.
She's the leader of the Maltese Resistance in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah. So like she around this time she was kind of blowing up. She was getting cast in a lot of movies, and her big thing right now is like she's the lead in Queen of the South, which is the drug queen pin TV series on USA, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. I knew her from. I recognize her from I Am Legend.
I Am Legend is what I recognize her from.
And now that you mentioned it, she is in the new Suicide Squad by James Gunn. So it's cool to see like.
She's really pissed off because Peacemaker kills her entire team.
But I mean, again, this cast is phenomenal. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great cast. I think they may have gone a little overboard with how many there are, because at some point in time, I really you don't really care that much that some of them are getting offed. Like Danny Trejo, he's like a throwaway character. He dies.
I know, that bummed me out because I love him, and he dies super quick, and it's kind of a bullshit.
Like they spend way more time like showing Walton Goggins' death.
Let's be real here. Danny Trejo's in the movie because
Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah,
he's in every Robert Rodriguez movie.
Well, what's funny is when Robert Rodriguez was writing the script, like for that character, he wrote in a Danny Trejo type character, and Danny Trejo heard about this, and when he saw Robert Rodriguez next, he's like, "Yo, Holmes, I hear you have a Danny Trejo like character. Guess what? I'm Danny Trejo. Put me in this movie." And Robert Rodriguez is like, good point. but originally Walton Goggins was supposed to play the Topher Grace role of the Doctor.
I would have liked that.
That would have been so much better.
Yeah. Walton Goggins is also a person who can play anything.
Yeah, he's a really good actor.
You forget that that's Walton Goggins. His name is so fucking ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, right?
It's really hard to say. But you forget that that's him in everything that he plays, because he embodies every role that he's in. He's so good.
When we were talking about that Santa Claus movie with Mel Gibson,
Fat Man
that he's in, I fucked his name up every time I said it.
Every single time.
Walton Goggins. Yeah.
I keep wanting to say Walter Goggins.
I want it to be Walter Goggers. It's Walton Goggins. But I do like in the beginning when everybody's free falling to Earth, and like the people who like get up and they're like, oh, what the fuck's going on? But then they see like the bodies of people who didn't make it in their free fall. Like that's fucked up. And it just like starts the story off in a, we don't really give a shit if you survive or not.
Like the opening to this movie, it really just kind of puts you right into the middle of things. Great. Like this movie doesn't slow down from the minute it starts. And one of the things, so like the reason Walton Goggins got recast into like the prisoner role is because he was playing it too much like Bill Paxton's Hicks in the Aliens movies. And so the director of this movie, Nimrod Antel, so like Robert Rodriguez did not direct this movie, he just produced it and wrote it. Like he was worried that like they were kind of like going in a direction with that character that it just didn't fit. So he created a new character for Walton Goggins to play, and then came in and cast Topher Grace as the Doctor.
I was going to say something.
He was playing it like Hicks?
Like Hicks or like Bill Paxton?
Bill Paxton.
Like game over, man.
Okay, got it.
Interesting.
Yeah, but so for the people who don't know, Robert Rodriguez came up with this idea for a Predators sequel while he was shooting Desperado. And he pitched it to Fox, and Fox was like, "This is dumb. We don't like it." And Robert Rodriguez's original idea for it was like this, instead of a game preserve, it was like a coliseum, and people would be thrown in to fight against predators and stuff like that. And over time, he kind of like kind of refined the idea. And eventually, Fox was like, oh, Robert Rodriguez is really blowing up. Maybe we should dust off this script that we own from him and have him like develop it. And so Robert Rodriguez came in and redid it with the director Nimrod Antel, who had done like a couple of like interesting kind of like low budget thrillers, and he was really skilled with like an ensemble cast and stuff like that. He's a Hungarian filmmaker initially, and so once he came on board, he kind of made it into like a game preserve and brought in like all these different characters. And I think that this movie is surprisingly good. Like I remember seeing it in the theaters and just being kind of like meh, like neutral on it. But over time, it's gotten better.
I'm 100% with you. I feel like this movie gets better.
With age?
With age. And the more I watch it.
Watch for me.
Really?
Nimrod Antel, didn't he direct Machete?
No, I don't think so. I think Robert Rodriguez directed Machete.
Say that again.
Machete?
Oh man, that's kind of sexy. Machete.
Say it slower.
Okay.
Because I can tell how much machete.
So we're all fans of the original Predator movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. We all love that movie.
Oh yeah.
How did you guys feel about like this little bit of lore building where like they take humans and they plop them on this preserve and like go hunting, and then
I think it's a great concept.
And now we have this feud between like the big predators and the little predators, and they're like, did you think that was?
No, I think
great?
I think it's a great concept.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, the way they set it up is that, so like they have this game preserve where they cherry pick opponents and they put them on here, and the idea is that the predators refine their ability to kill other people.
It's like a training camp.
Yeah, based off of these things, and then they go to planets to actually hunt. And it was just kind of like an interesting little piece of lore building that I thought worked really well. And I kind of wish that they had taken it further in the fourth Predator as opposed to like what we got.
Is that the one you made me go to that I hated?
Yes.
Cool.
Well, everyone hated
Is
it.
that the one?
The Shane Black one?
Yes, the Shane Black.
Is that the one with the female Predator? And
It's the one with Olivia Munn and
oh yeah, I pretend that doesn't exist.
The one with Key and Peele was there too, right?
Yeah,
one of the comedians.
Not canon.
Just erase that one.
It's not, doesn't exist.
It was so bad.
Yeah, it's
So bad.
it's the Disney Star Wars movies of the
Oh
Predator
wow,
franchise.
that's a harsh. Okay,
Well,
I think I might have seen it.
It was based off the strength of this movie that movie got greenlit.
Yeah.
And they were like,
too
"Oh,
bad.
we're bringing back Shane Black to write and direct it," and he's like really talented. And Shane Black was just like, "I'm gonna fuck this up for everyone."
Oh man. Okay, so Laurence Fishburne's in this movie. Morpheus shows up at some
Yep,
point in
he
time.
shot for 2 days.
That's it.
That's it.
You
Yeah,
played
you know
a.
Oh, hey, Bruce Willis, this shit. Wow.
I feel like he was totally unnecessary in this
Yes.
whole thing. Like he came into info dump and then he pieced out. And like the whole, I feel like I would have enjoyed this movie more if they had simplified it. Like give me more of the whole we're training and you're basically just fodder.
Yeah.
And like that's interesting.
And like we have 4 different predators in this movie.
Yeah.
3 of which are the bad guys.
Yeah. So I liked that aspect of it and the whole like we just plucked you from your life and now you're just cannon fodder. I liked that. But the whole Topher Grace character didn't care. And Laurence Fishburne didn't care. If they had simplified the story more, I would have enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
If you want to make a movie just for me,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted. And I felt like there was a little too much going on for me to fully invest in it. I thought it was a little boring, and I ended
It dragged.
up
The middle
I fell
dragged.
asleep
Man,
and had to rewatch it.
I feel like we're all agreeing on way too many things.
So originally there was a different ending to this movie. So like at the end of this movie, Adrian Brodey sees all these new parachutes coming in for like a whole new season that's starting up. And originally a Predator spaceship was going to land, and Dutch, Arnold Schwarzenegger, was going to come out. He's like, "Congratulations for winning the season."
What?
And he's like, "Come on board. You're going to join us." And so like they become like the winners become honorary Predators. And Schwarzenegger was actually like, Robert Rodriguez went to Schwarzenegger. He's like, "Dude, we want you back for this movie." He's like, "Tell you what." Because at the time that this movie was being made,
Your impersonation's terrible.
Schwarzenegger
But
was
also amazing.
Schwarzenegger was running for governor of California. He's like, "If I don't win governor of California, I will be in your movie." And of course,
wait.
he ended up winning.
Do Bill Clinton real quick, because that's my favorite.
I did not have sexual relations
that's not
with that woman.
With this movie?
With this movie.
I'll agree with Jude. I think they could have simplified this. Drop Topher Grace, have these people show up, kill probably half of them in the first 20 minutes, just slaughter them,
Yeah.
and then have like a key group of like 3 or 4,
Yeah.
and carry that on through the movie.
What 4 would you pick?
Adrian Brodey carries this entire movie on his back,
Sure.
and then the Israeli chick,
Yeah.
her, and the Russian dude,
Yeah.
and probably the Yakuza guy. Have
Oh,
those?
really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I would have
You're
swapped
going to
up.
get rid of Walton Goggins?
Yeah, I would have. Yeah.
Do you see how smooth I said that?
God damn it, Jude. I totally agree with her.
We need to talk about the Hanzo
Fist bump
fight.
him.
We need to talk about the
Let's talk
Hanzo
about the
fight.
Yakuza guy. I really like that
I
character.
didn't need him at all. He was a cool character that I would have enjoyed more in a different movie.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I liked
I-
his little samurai sword fight he had with
I
the
didn't
Predator.
like
though.
it.
Really?
I didn't.
I enjoyed that they had a bunch of different dangerous people, but beyond that, I didn't really care who they were.
What were you gonna say?
I was just going
Exactly what she just said.
You
Exactly.
fucking shell.
I mean, we're on this side of the table for a reason most of the time. So
Cheers.
yeah.
Put it in your.
What are you doing?
I'm just trying to get in your camera.
There we go. Okay.
The alcohol is flowing.
Yeah.
Um,
But Yeah.
No, I liked him. I mean, Walton Goggins amazing. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I just
As if you could.
I can't. But his character as like the FBI's most wanted, like a convict guy, I was way more interested in like the samurai, and he picks up the sword. He's like, this sword is very old, and he's like, he carries it with honor, and he goes and he's like fighting that dude. That was a great scene. I love that scene.
I felt like that whole scene was a completely different movie though.
You know, I felt like it should have been choreographed different. It didn't work for me.
Yeah, I can give you that.
And that was the big problem. I didn't have a problem with the character being there. I didn't like the way that scene was choreographed.
It could have been shot differently.
The way he was all, and then he runs towards him. It was
also
weird.
very dark, and it left a lot to the imagination.
You know what was funny is when we were watching this, Jude and I. So like we're sitting there watching this, and this is a movie. It's called Predators, and she knows that we're doing Alien versus Predator week, and the entire time she's like, "Are rich people behind this? Are they the ones hunting these guys?" And I'm just like, "No."
Do you remember saying that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why he's telling everyone that now. I feel like nothing is sacred.
I just thought it was very funny.
Okay.
You're like,
no, Jude, predators.
You know what's really funny, guys?
You and your lady brain.
How dumb my fiance
Oh,
is.
man.
She's hilarious. She doesn't even know how funny she is, guys. That's how dumb she is.
No, she kept kicking me while we were on the couch, and she's like, "Tell me, is it rich people doing this?"
Okay, but this is the first fucking watch, and fuck you, by the way. And like the whole, I had the general premise. I was like, they're being hunted. Like, this is a game, right? But my fucking Caucasian brain in America is like, it's fucking rich people, right? It's like rich white guys.
When's the Rossburgers, or what are they called?
Is this a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie?
Well, Jean-Claude Van Damme was in the original Predator.
Yeah. Okay, I was gonna try and think of what else. It's a pretty simple plot. It's fun. It's easy watch. Not a perfect movie by any means.
No.
I'm just gonna go ahead and do final thoughts on it for myself.
But before we go to final thoughts, I have one scene I want to highlight, and it's with Walton Goggins, and it's.
I'll allow it.
Yes, he. So like
you have a choice.
Oh, is it the one with Topher Grace?
No.
Oh, okay.
So like they're sitting in Laurence Fishburne's kind of shelter, and the Russian guy is showing pictures of his kids to Topher Grace. And Walton Goggins opens up his prison jumpsuit and shows this tattoo of a woman.
I know.
And he's like, "This is Susie Lee, tits like howitzers." And it's like a naked lady tattooed on his stomach. And Topher Grace is like, "Oh, is that your girlfriend?" He's like, "Oh, man, that's my sister." And Topher's like, "Oh, okay." And I always wondered if that was like an ad-lib line from Goggins, because it just comes out of nowhere. And it's so funny.
There's that one really cringy scene with him where he's like, "Oh man, I'm gonna go get some drinks and I'm gonna go rape the shit out of a bunch of bitches."
Yes.
You know, I'm like, what?
Yeah, they're in the woods, and it's like quiet, and they're like, Topher Grace is sitting there, and he's like, "Man, when we get out of this, I'm gonna get home, do some cocaine, and rape so many fine bitches."
Yeah,
and Topher Grace is like, "Okay," and he's like, "Yeah, man, it's gonna be great," and he's like, "Yeah, 5 o'clock, bitch raping time." And he's like, "Totally," and the Russian dude's like, "You better stick close to me."
I love that scene.
So cringy, man.
I kind of want a
Just
t-shirt
cringy.
that says 5 o'clock bitch raping time, but I'm not going to be able to wear it anywhere.
No, nowhere.
I'll fucking put that on and like have to run to Target.
I do wonder if Walton Goggins like ad-libbed that line, because who writes that shit?
I know, right?
Well, it works because of Topher Grace's response to it. He's like, "Yeah, bitch raping time."
I almost forgot about that line. That was good.
Every movie we watch has some form of rape in it.
Crazy ass. Jesus.
Oh my god.
But yeah, man. So you were gonna do final thoughts.
Yeah, final
You go ahead
thought.
and
That was
start.
my favorite moment. Was the raping line moment between Walton Goggins and Topher Grace. Final thoughts. It's an easy watch for me. If it's available, Amazon Prime or something like that. I don't really watch cable TV anymore, but if it's on, I'm watching it. I enjoy the hell out of this movie. It's not perfect, but it's fun. Topher Grace is the weakest part. Adrian Brodey is the strongest part of this movie. I wish I could say they balance each other out, but they really don't. I really wish Topher Grace wasn't in this movie, because he kills the entire vibe. I don't buy him as a threatening character at all. Even when he's like,
Sorry. When you said Topher Grace threatening character, it just made me giggle.
No. That's Eric from That 70s Show, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
it's fucking
Christopher.
Foreman.
yeah. Shut up, dumbass. No, it's a fun movie though. I enjoy it. It's got some charm to it.
I believe Red Foreman as a bad guy more than I believe Eric Foreman.
Yeah, RoboCop.
Yeah, for sure. Vader, go ahead.
What's your score?
I'd say 2.5.
2.5?
Yeah, 2.
Really?
Right in the middle.
I respect you.
Oh, okay.
2.5 for me.
I think I liked it a little bit more than that.
Okay. What's your final thoughts?
I can't add a whole lot. You know, I enjoyed the characters. I did not like Topher Grace, but other than him, I thought all the characters were fine. I like the different kinds of badassdom that they all brought to the table. You know, what's funny is we barely talked about the Predators, but they all had their own little distinct personalities as well. Mm-hmm. You know, they all had their different looks.
The one that had the jaw. One had like tusks.
One, and they all have. Matt, they had different names. I'm sure you looked up the different.
I know the one that fought the samurai was called Falconer.
Yeah, he was.
The other one is the Berserker.
One of them's in charge of the dogs, and the other one's like, yeah.
Well, they actually gave the Predator race a name in this movie. I believe it was the Yautja.
Who said that? Do you remember?
I don't.
Okay. I don't know.
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, you know, I enjoyed this movie. I could easily watch this movie again. But I'm going to, you gave it a 2. I'm going to go 3. I'm going to go 3.
You like it more? Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Let me give it a 3
Right
stars.
on.
I did one scene that stands out is the big reveal when they figure out that they're on another planet, when they come up on that ridge out of the jungle.
Like planets.
And you're like, holy shit, we're not in
Kansas anymore.
Yeah. I would make like a cool poster or something.
Yeah.
You know, to me, it's a cool scene.
Right on.
So.
Totally.
Shoot. Go ahead. Final thoughts. Give it a rating.
Final thoughts. I didn't love it. It was a first watch. I probably will never watch it again. However, if somebody were to put it on in front of me, it wouldn't piss me off.
Okay.
It's fine. It's okay. I feel like this movie is just okay for me.
So like 2, or what are you going to give it?
I'm going with 3 because I don't hate it. I also don't love it. It's kind of middle of the road.
A 3 is it just okay? That's high. Isn't that high?
Well, a 3 is like a 6
I
out of 10.
told you guys I'm easy.
Okay, well, rules are made up. I don't care.
Yeah, they don't matter. Yeah, for me, it's a 3. That's kind of middle of the road for me.
3 Predators out of 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's there are things. Okay, so talking about it, like I think I enjoyed it more when we were talking about it than I actually did watching it. I fell asleep and had to rewatch the end, but I don't hate it. But I also don't care.
Okay.
So, like, I don't know. I guess I'm quibbling about a 0.5, but 2.5 for me is more like I really don't like this movie. But
really? Okay.
yeah, for me, like a 3 is just like, yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
I don't care. So yeah, it's 3 Berserker Predators out of 5. I wish there was more Danny Trejo, less Topher Grace, less Laurence Fishburn. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that, but it is what it is.
I don't think you will.
And honestly, I wanted more Predators. I didn't care as much about all of the characters as I did about, like, I wanted to see some fucking Predators.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're on like a predator planet, right?
Yeah. And also like the whole, like, we're being chosen to be hunted by these predators, but here's the reason why didn't super come across for me. Maybe it was because I was asleep. But like I like during my like looking up things for this movie, that's when I realized that's why they were here for that. So, I mean, I don't know that the movie did its job in telling me like why this was happening.
Okay.
I thought they spent too much time setting up who everybody was.
Yeah.
All right. Kadish.
Just to whack them.
Kind of would have rather had a movie that I was rooting for a predator in. Just me.
A bunch of like really disgusting people that you really want to see dead, and just one predator who just murders them all.
Tell me more about the different predator factions.
What do you think about
flip the script from the original Schwarzenegger movie
and flip it around?
I kind of
it's like this poor predator gets stranded on this piece of shit planet full of humans, and he has to fight his way off.
Like I actually thought that was more in line with the movie I was getting, so I was a little bit surprised that this is what I got instead, and it was a little bit more.
That would be a lot of fun.
Well, there's a little double meaning here because all the people who we're introduced to as the main human characters in this movie are themselves a type of predator. Like they're like trained killers who go about like murdering other humans. And so like there's that weird double meaning. But I also wanted to share another little story about watching this movie with Jude.
You're pointing at me, and I know I'm going to be the butt of your joke.
Well, it's not a joke. So like at the end of the movie, Adrian Brodey gets all mudded up like Schwarzenegger did in the original. And he's facing down the Predator. And the minute that happens, Jude starts quoting lines from the first Predator where she's like, "I'm over here, kill me, kill me.
I'm here, kill me."
Yeah, and then Adrian Brodey literally starts repeating the exact lines that Jude just said. And she was like, "Oh my God, oh my God."
He said it and I went, "Oh shit."
So watching this movie.
I was like, "Can he hear me?"
Yeah, watching this movie with Jude was an experience. I actually I enjoyed this movie more than when I first saw it. It's a solid 3-star movie for me. I really enjoyed it. I thought the acting was really good. All the actors that they cast were great. The story was really solid. The directing was solid. It's a good Predator movie, especially compared to the fourth one. So I would have liked to have seen kind of like them explore this concept of the game preserve thing and the Predators testing their skills a little bit more. But also I should point out that both Robert Rodriguez and Nimrod Antal, who directed this movie, hated Alien versus Predator, which came out before this movie. And so this movie was a direct response to how much they hated Alien versus Predator, where they're like, fuck those movies. We're just going to do our own thing.
For sure.
Speaking of, the next movie on our list is Alien versus Predator. So stay tuned. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about that one. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you want to support the podcast and hang out with us on our Discord app, go to saltinerdiscord.com, jump in. It's a fantastic community. We have a great time chatting with all of our fans of the podcast and coming up with new ideas for shows. We have a SMP Weekly Show idea chat room where you guys can toss in there a couple examples of movies that you want us to cover. We love hanging out and chatting with our people over there. So saltinerdiscord.com. Are you pointing at your ass cheek again?
I am. I need to get that out.
So, I can't talk about this. Freaking Vader has spouted out some nonsense about a tattoo on his ass cheek if we get to 10,000 subscribers
get the tattoo on my butt
by July 4th. I can't believe he said it, but he did. And now it's out there on the internet and we can't take it back. So 10,000 subscribers if you're watching this.
Get 10,000 subscribers.
Yeah, Vader has agreed to get a tattoo of the Salty Nerd logo on his butt if we can hit 10,000 YouTube subscribers by July 4th, 2022. So if you guys want to help us make that happen, please tell some people about it, encourage them to subscribe to the channel. And we're also going to live stream him getting the tattoo. So don't miss out on
Get
that.
my butt. Get my butt on the YouTube. It's going to be great.
Why are you saying that in Arnold Schwarzenegger's
I have no idea,
voice, dude?
Because we're watching Predator movies. And my Arnold is better than his.
It is. It's leaps and bounds better. Is that everything? Yeah. Okay, Jude, take it away. Alien versus Predator.
2004 AVP, Alien versus Predator. Rated PG-13 with a runtime of 1 hour 41 minutes. Had a budget of $60 million, 60. What do you think this brought in?
I don't know. 85.
B.
I'm like, right.
It made money, though.
Right there. I'm 85, 90 million. Right around there. $120 million.
$177 million worldwide.
Wow.
This is based on the brand name, brand recognition.
Yeah. The crossover event of the century.
Well, people had wanted an Alien versus Predator movie for a long time.
Oh, yeah. They were lobbying.
What's the background with this?
So it's Predator 2.
It's like Jason versus Freddy. We got to see.
Oh, that's
in the
right.
very end of the movie, in the ship, there's an alien skull.
That's right.
There's a xenomorph trophy in the Predator movie before Danny Glover gets the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah, and the Alien fans were like, what the fuck is this shit?
It's right next to the fucking T-Rex.
Yeah.
And there was also a really successful comic book series.
Great comic book series.
Of Alien versus Predator that people just lost their shit over.
Okay. So they were like, hey, let's make a movie.
When they put that xenomorph skull in that ship, probably on a lark.
What year was that?
They had no idea what they were uncorking there.
They were inciting.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say that was 80, 89, 87.
Yeah, right around there.
Okay, so after Aliens,
the second movie. As a Aliens nerd, as we discussed earlier, seeing that xenomorph skull in that ship it blew my mind. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's in the same universe. I can already see the freaking.
Wasn't there something in Predator 2 the Gary Busey?
Well, that's
what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, you guys kept saying aliens instead of Predator 2.
Well,
we're talking about the xenomorph skull,
yeah,
the
xenomorph
Predator
skull.
ship.
anyway,
you guys are totally confusing my lady brain.
your poor lady brain.
But yeah, that's where it all
So you
started.
just nerded out. Okay, that's where I was wondering like what the genesis of this idea was.
So
And that's exactly what it was.
Let's see what happens when you put the two
Well,
together.
it's like Fox owned the rights to both of them, and they were able to kind of like.
So
And it fits. They
Fox
fit
was like,
together.
Let's fuck some shit up.
Fox is owned by Disney now.
Well,
Now.
now, but back then, so like they had been trying to get an Alien versus Predator thing off the ground, but there were all these lawsuits that were involved with it, and they had to clear those up before they could actually like get forward. So it took them literally like a decade in order to like get all the rights issues cleared up so they could make this thing happen.
And they gave it to Anderson.
Well, at the time, so like James
Your
Cameron,
arch nemesis.
James Cameron was actually collaborating with Ridley Scott and Sigourney Weaver to create another Alien movie. And Fox basically said like, well, that's all well and good, but we're going to go with Paul W.S. Anderson to do an Alien versus Predator movie. And James Cameron and Ridley Scott were like, fuck you. They're like, this is a terrible idea. We hate it. Peace.
and Kadish was like, I never forgive you people for this.
I mean, this movie does have the Paul W.S. Anderson stank all over it.
It really does. It's funny because
But ironically enough, this is his best movie. So
when I was watching this movie, I had no idea that this was a PWS Anderson movie. No idea. I'm watching it. I'm like 10 minutes in. I'm going, this feels like a PWS Anderson movie. and I looked
you're like,
up.
this movie feels kind of stanky.
Yeah, I did. I was like, something stinks. There's something about this.
Just watching it and you were like,
Got some stank on it.
Seriously, that's not even a
smell
joke.
that?
I'm
What
like,
is that?
what is going on with
That's
this
Paul
movie?
W.S. Anderson.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah,
this
for viewers who might not be familiar, who is Paul W.S. Anderson?
he
Alex?
is the director of
That stank up Resident
the
Evil.
stanky director of Resident Evil, and of all the Resident Evil
I'm
movies,
really shocked Mila Jovovich
Except for
wasn't
the
in
new
this.
one.
except for the newest one.
Well,
Yeah.
no, like he didn't direct the sequel or the third one,
And
but
he's-
then he came back and directed all the other Resident Evil.
He's the guy behind some of the worst all-time video game movies. Resident Evil.
He directed the first Mortal Kombat movie, and then
Oh, that classic?
and
I kinda
he-
like it.
And he also did Event Horizon, and most recently Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter. That's right.
Oh,
the
God,
dragon.
that piece of shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
With Mila Jovovich.
We did
All
talk
you
about
have
that
to do
one,
is
right?
mention that movie, and I go into fucking Hulk mode. I hate that movie. It's stupid.
It's terrible.
All right, Jude. With that energy, tell us the synopsis for Alien vs. Predator.
So, billionaire Charles Bishop Whalen, the man, not the machine, forces a group of archaeologists to hurry up and spelunk untrained through the ice of Antarctica into the oldest pyramid in the world. When the explorers start poking around inside the pyramid, they trigger the ancient alien baby pods to open and send a message to the predators that the pyramid is active. Then an hour later, the predators finally show up and start murdering the humans because they're all carrying weapons. And if there's one thing a predator hates, it's a human with a weapon. When Blade's mom comes face to face with a predator, she wisely drops her gun and submits. I just blew your mind, huh?
Yeah.
She drops her gun and submits when an alien interrupts their meet cute. She's like, fine. I guess I'll fight these things with you. And the predator's like, let's get matching best friend tattoos on our faces. Then they do some crafts with weapons and skulls and kill the shit out of some aliens.
Yeah.
They're having the best bestie time ever until that alien bitch Carol or whatever shows up and stabs Predator. And Blade's mom is like, I'll never let go, Jack. And then as he's dying, he's like, I am now and have always been your friend. And then his space buddies show up and take his body and they see your face tattoo and they're like, nice ink. And she's like, thanks, my bestie gave it to me. And then the movie mercifully ends.
Mercifully ends. Your synopses are on fire this week, Jude.
Thank you.
That was all very accurate. It was very good.
Yeah, it was incredibly the bestie's face tattoos. Super
Hey man,
accurate.
he's making her part of the clan.
Yeah, bro.
Okay.
I'm upset because I don't have a friend that I'm that close to that we've ever gotten best friend tattoos.
We can get matching
Would you
butt
let
tattoos
would
with
you
me.
let a 7-foot tall alien give you a face tattoo?
Listen, if I'm standing face to face with a 7-foot alien, he can do more than that. Like,
Listen, she didn't have any
I
choice.
just want to get out of this alive.
It's like, give me that alien acid stinger.
He's like holding out the alien to her, like, you want some? And she's like, I guess.
Okay,
we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Lance Henriksen.
I don't know, man.
He's a stud.
Your best friend.
He's my best buddy. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
Nerd.
If you could go back to that moment in time and he was like,
I would completely ignore him.
Wait. No, if you could go back to that moment in time, you've already said that shit. And he looks up at you and he goes, you want to get best friend tattoos?
Want that? I'd probably say yes. Yes, Lance Henriksen, I do.
And then after you say yes, he goes, on our faces? You have to commit. You have to commit.
Can you introduce me to Ray Liotta? That would be really cool.
I want to get introduced to Sigourney
that was about the time he was making a lot of bad movies. Like, what was that Ray Liotta movie he made with him? Where he's on the island with all the prisoners and shit. We're gonna watch that one. That was a good one.
Skull Island?
We're gonna have Lance Henriksen week pretty soon.
Okay, cool. We should see if we could reach out to him and have him on the show.
No, we cannot do that.
Hey, do you remember me? Hi.
Anyway, this is kind of a guilty pleasure movie for me.
Really?
Yeah, it kind of is. It scratches that like Ancient Aliens itch, and it's goofy. I do not, by any means, consider this to be like canon within the Aliens and Predator universe. This is like a what if scenario.
Sure.
It doesn't make any sense for the freaking aliens to be in a pyramid on Antarctica.
Listen, man, there are pyramids under the Antarctica.
Sure.
Maybe.
Absolutely they are.
But they 100%. Don't contain the xenomorph that we found on LV-247 or whatever the number was.
Listen, here's my complaint. First of all, it's PG-13. Second of all, I was told this was an Aliens versus Predator movie, and what I got was a bunch of spelunking archaeologists for a fucking hour before the aliens fought the Predator. And by that point, I was like, I've had 3 glasses of wine now, and I had to go back the next day and rewatch all of the interesting stuff. And at that point, I was like, I don't fucking care.
The alien, when they did finally get to that fight, though, that fight scene was pretty fun. Like the
day late and $1 short.
The predators get down there. The one grabs the alien by the tail and like whips it around and throws it.
So when the predator was invisible and you just see the alien like tail come up and pop them, that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
What made this PG-13? What is it missing?
They didn't show a chest burster.
Like a couple F-bombs or something?
So basically, the studio mandated that they wanted a PG-13 movie. And Paul W.S. Anderson was like, yeah, sure. I have no credibility.
I didn't look at the rating and I didn't watch this thinking it was PG-13.
Well, the thing is like, so they shot it, you know, there's not excessive gore or anything like that in this movie, which is how they were able to get the PG-13 rating. But the fans revolted when this was announced. And so like they went back and shot gorier versions of the scene to do an unrated cut that they would release on DVD in order to satiate the fans. The studio was like,
I really want white trash families to be able to take their kids to this.
Okay, that explains it because I did watch the unrated version when I rented this the other night.
Okay, so. I didn't know there was 2 different versions. Because didn't they make an AVP-R? Like it was a different movie and there was like Alien vs. Predator Requiem or whatever the hell.
That's the sequel to this.
And they made it purposely rated R, right? To make up for this movie being PG-13.
I don't know about that.
I think that's what the whole marketing thing was.
Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
Requiem or Rectum? I don't know.
That's literally the sequel to this movie.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Really?
Oh. No, don't. It's terrible.
We need to watch another freaking Alien vs. Predator week, bud.
That's not the one with...
Oh, shit. There's a movie called Alien versus Ninja.
That's not the one with Key and Peele, right?
No, I don't think so. Anyway, this movie's goofy and it's dumb, but I like it.
Yeah. It's
the pyramid under the ground and they go down there and like, who drilled this hole? I don't know. It wasn't here yesterday. Like dumb shit like that makes me smile. And the freaking the fight scenes are fun. That one alien that has like the hash marks on its head from the net, like, and it's got like a vendetta against that one dude. Like I like all that stuff.
I like all the predators in all 3 of these movies today are all cool.
Yeah. So all 3 predators in this movie were based off of the ones that we saw at the end of Predator 2. So the idea is that after they were done in LA, they came back here, and these are the ones that we saw honor Danny Glover at the end of that movie.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I didn't realize that either.
I thought it was just another ship.
I should
come to Earth to do some training.
I feel like I should pay closer attention to the masks because the masks are unique for each predator. So and that changes. I guess if they're the same, I'd have to go watch Predator.
Here's my big issue with this movie.
Oh, please.
And this is one of the reasons why like Paul W.S. Anderson is such a complete fucking hack. So in Predator lore, what's the one thing that precipitates them coming to Earth for a hunt?
There can be only one.
No. They always come at the hottest point of the year. They come around the equator. When they went to LA, it was during a heat wave, right? So like they only hunt in
hot, humid,
areas, because they come from like, like they see in heat vision, like, so like they come from a hot planet. This is in Antarctica.
But in prehistoric times, there was no ice.
The predators wouldn't be coming down into a freezing cold area because it just doesn't go with the lore. Yeah. But Paul W. Anderson's like, fuck that. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, I see.
And this story was actually made by Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett, who were the original writers on like the Predator movies. And so like they came up with the story idea, and then Paul W.S. Anderson went off and wrote his own thing based off of that. And it's just like everything in this movie is horrible. Just from an entertainment perspective, like Jude said, it takes an hour to get to the meat of this story. And that initial fight scene between like the alien and the predator, while cool, like imagine this whole movie should have been that. Like imagine like if the predators came down to Earth and they're like, oh, we're going to go hunting. And then they see like all their prey already with like huge chest wounds. And then the aliens start showing up and no dialogue. It's just aliens versus predators fighting from the start to the finish.
Do you think a movie like that would go over?
Yes.
No dialogue at all?
I kind of think it would if it was just aliens versus predators. Except here's...
Are we talking subtitles when they're like...
Alex, we literally reviewed this cartoon Primal with zero dialogue.
It was fantastic.
And you love it. So like, it can be done.
And we watched a caveman movie about chasing fire.
Okay, no, I'm never watching that movie again.
but like, if this had been a movie where like the aliens, not the predators, but the aliens had like decimated the Earth, and the predators were like, hey, let's go check out and see what's happening on Earth. And they came down and they were like, oh, fuck.
Or
we gotta
even
kill all
could have been
these
like a
guys.
colony or something like that.
I would have loved an entire movie of just the predators and the aliens just fucking each other up for an entire movie.
Matt has my brain going now because what I would have done now that I think about it is take Antarctica shit out of it. There's still pyramids and cities and shit underneath the fucking jungle that we haven't explored yet. Go to Guatemala, go into deep jungle. Let's find a pyramid that's completely covered over with
watch your hands there, bud.
With the jungle. They could have easily made this movie much better.
The first fight scene between alien versus predator, no dialogue.
No.
And that's the best scene in the entire freaking movie.
Yeah.
Just have the whole movie be that.
I just need those. I can't.
Are we talking subtitles? Are we going to do subtitles for the aliens?
Sure.
I mean, for the predators?
Yeah.
Why?
Like they're like,
hey,
it's over here on the left hand side.
Yeah. Clicks and blurs and some
Yeah, I mean, they did it in the original when they were like.
Yeah. Typing shit out in there. Oh, that's another that's why I thought this was a P.W.S. Anderson movie, is the goddamn holographic map swipe changes from one scene to another. He does it 5 times. I counted.
Straight out of Resident Evil.
Straight out of Resident Evil. I was
well, it's funny because the guy, Colin Salmon, who played the team leader in Resident Evil, He's in all of his movies. He's in all of his movies. And it's funny because like he gets caught by this net, and for a minute there you think, oh, he's gonna die by grid dissection just like he did in Resident Evil, but then like the guy just like stabs him with a spear, and it's just like, oh, okay.
So okay, give me something in this movie you liked.
Like for the characters?
Like just give me something that you like about this movie.
I love the pyramid shit. I love them being down into this like wacky freaking maze.
The transforming pyramid, right?
Rubik's Cube pyramid.
I thought that shit was dope.
Yeah.
I love that.
Super cool. I will say that the backstory that they gave whenever somebody explained how this all happened.
So basically you got predators coming in. It's a rite of passage. They have to come in, they have to claim their guns.
Right.
And they have to get through the aliens and shit and get out to be a man.
The idea that happened in like Aztec history was way more interesting to me than this like Antarctic thing.
Yeah, like, I love the whole
imagine like
the whole exposition dump where they're reading the hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Back in the old days,
Imagine Apocalypto.
Oh yeah.
But with this
fucking
shit.
Aliens? Yes. That's a movie.
That would have been dope. And it would have fit the lore.
Talking about Apocalypto.
You have to watch Apocalypto, Jude. It's so good. It's like
we're having a pizza and beer night.
It is really good.
You don't want to eat.
It's a Mel Gibson movie too.
Yeah. It's a fantastic movie.
But one of the things I hate about Paul W.S. Anderson is actually one of his greatest strengths, which is he knows how to like bring in a movie under budget, ahead of schedule, and really squeeze every bit of profit out of it. Like with this movie, so they shot it in Prague.
He's a studio darling.
Yeah. So he shot it in Prague, and the sets that they were able to build in Prague saved them something like, $18 million. And he was able to turn this movie around in like 2 months' time, and then like 4 months of post-production. So like he was able to get it out super quick. On a $40 million budget, this thing made $177 million.
Mm-hmm.
The studio loved it, greenlit a sequel like right away, but it's not a good movie. Like we were talking about how Aliens spends their entire first act just setting up the rest of the movie. And it doesn't feel slow or boring or like whatever. This movie does the same thing, except it feels slow and boring and you just don't freaking care.
Yeah.
You just like get to the aliens versus predators crap. Who cares about this stupid backstory about like some like weird pyramid and like human sacrifices and stuff like that?
And honestly, Lance Henriksen, I didn't care that he was in this at all. When I first saw him, I was like, oh shit, it's Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Kadish was like, it's the guy Bishop is based on.
It's Wayland.
Oh.
Yeah, Wayland Corp is huge. That's a big.
And then at that point on, I was just like, I don't care. And then he just fucking dies out of nowhere. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and then they recast him for Ridley Scott's prequels. So
I was way more interested in the pyramid than I was any of the characters in this show.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the shape-changing pyramid.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It's cool. It's like cube
really cool.
and freaking weird shit's going on. I like that stuff. I
You
do
know-
agree that the setting is weird, like the Antarctic thing.
Yeah.
Like have that shit in the freaking Amazon or something.
Right.
You know what's
totally
the
with you.
most fun for me is just me personally is like listening to Kadish talk about
How much he
Paul
hates.
W.S. Anderson, like he's talking about his ex. He's like, you know what else sucks about that person?
There's some real stank.
It's like, what, did a guy like take a shit in your Cheerios one day or something?
I hate seeing lack of talent rewarded. And if there was ever a filmmaker who has taken properties with amazing potential and squandered them, it's Paul W.S. Anderson.
Honestly, that seems to be the trend for many years now in Hollywood.
Especially video game movies.
It's like you fail upward. That's the way it goes, bro.
Yeah.
He was successful in making a profit.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing about
That
Paul
was his
W.S.
job.
Anderson movies is like his movies always make money. So like, he's able to continue to make them, but they're so bad. And I don't know why they're able to make such
For some
such
reason,
profit.
all dumbasses like us keep
Yeah,
watching
dude.
them.
I watch it and I go,
I've watched every single Resident Evil movie out there.
I've seen all the Alien versus Predator movies.
Yeah. I even
This
watched
one
that,
included.
I even watched that piece of shit Monster Hunter.
So you should hate us just as much because we're the
Well,
reason.
Wait.
he backed out of directing Resident Evil 3 in order to do this movie. So
Anyway,
V, you didn't like Monster Hunter, did you?
No, it was terrible. No.
Okay.
final thoughts and favorite moment. My favorite moment is the slow-mo face hugger moment.
Oh,
That
that's
was
pretty cool.
freaking dope, dude.
Yeah.
And it like jumps. It's like, and it's all in slow motion, and it freaking grabs onto the chick's face. I've wanted to see that. I don't know why I wanted to see it, but I've always wanted to see a slow motion face hugger moment, and I got it. So I'll probably give this. I gave what Predators 2.5. This is probably going to be. I don't know. It's more than a 1.5 star.
So
It's like a 2, but kind of like I'm ashamed to say that.
dude, it's okay to like bad movies.
It's okay. It's just a 2-star
It's
movie.
all right.
I enjoy it. It's goofy. It's dumb. I do not consider it to be part of canon from the Alien and Aliens movies.
yeah, they've come out and officially declared the 2 Alien versus Predator movies non-canon.
Yeah, this is a what-if scenario. This is
But
like
you can't do that. It's on a movie. You can't declare
Like-
something non-canon.
Alien and Aliens are 2 5-star movies that belong in their own little box. I don't even like Aliens 3 or Aliens.
Yeah, they're
whatever
not great,
the other
right?
one
Yeah,
is terrible.
I agree.
So like
Except for when it gets sucked out the ship when it's going down into orbit.
Those are
through the little hole.
like those are sacred, protected movies, and this cannot be allowed to mingle with those ones.
I just want someone to be as excited to hug me as that alien was to hug that girl.
Man, what is it with you and hugs today? I said I like hugs. It's like the 4th time.
I wasn't talking about hugs. You misheard me, and then you started talking about how much you want to hug.
Final thoughts. Speaking of face huggers,
I'm right there with you.
Okay.
Guilty pleasure.
Right.
It's a 2-star movie. It's not good, but it has its moments. I don't know what else to say really. I mean, change the setting to Guatemala in the jungle
would have made it better.
Would have made it better. Mm-hmm. And I like the Ancient Aliens stuff. I mean, the crazier the better. I want that to be the real world.
Right.
Would have been made shit way more interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 2 stars.
Apocalypto with predators.
Yeah, let's do it.
I need that. That's what I need. All right, Jude. Final thoughts. Give it a rating.
I also feel like this is a 2 Carol Baskin aliens out of 5. But I also, it's not a guilty pleasure. I think it's really boring, and there's so much wrong with it. It doesn't make me angry, but if I had to watch it again, I'd probably roll my eyes very hard.
Was there any moment in this movie where you're like, okay, that's pretty cool? Anything?
Yeah, okay. When the aliens and the predators were actually fighting, but it took a fucking hour to get there.
Yep. Okay, but it took an hour for them to get to that kind of stuff.
They just set up a bunch of people for the sake of killing most of them.
Yeah.
Where we cared about the characters and aliens, the Marines and everybody.
Yeah.
We don't care about anything.
Don't give a shit about anybody.
Don't give a shit about
I don't even know what the main character's name is.
Yeah,
She's
I don't
Blade's
either.
mom.
Blade's mom. That blew my mind. I had no idea. I will say
it's like, yeah, that's very true. Hudson, Vasquez,
Hicks.
Apone, Hicks. We can
Ripley.
name.
Oh yeah.
We can name all these characters.
Newt. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I couldn't tell you a single name of anybody in this movie.
Bishop.
Not
Bishop.
Wayland. That's it. Because it's Lance fucking Henriksen.
Yeah.
You know. But that's it.
There's a good line of dialogue between Wayland and Blade's mom, as when they're talking about like, my dad frickin' is the same as you. He went up to this mountain and we had a great time. We popped open a bottle of champagne and then he died like 15 minutes later on the way down or whatever. And he's like, do you think the last thing your dad remembers is breaking his leg or sharing champagne with his daughter at 14,000 feet or whatever?
Yeah, didn't care.
I liked that line. That was a good little moment.
You know what's funny about that is so like the Wayland character, he's dying from cancer. And so in those scenes, Hendrickson is like, coughing and acting sick. And it was just like, he actually had a cold. And so like, he wasn't acting when he was doing that stuff.
Did they change the plot of the movie just because he had a cold on set or something?
No.
All right. Kadish, 1-star Crowfest?
All right. So this movie ends with a chest burster with the predator mouth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I saw this in the theater, there was literally like a groan.
Really?
That emanated from the entire theater.
Not
so I can
it
explain that.
A love child.
I can explain that.
Yeah.
No, I know why, but it's just stupid.
I don't think so.
Explain it, because I didn't
Okay,
understand
so
it at all.
I got this one.
Take it away.
I got this one, bro.
Okay.
Whenever a face hugger implants itself into a new host, that xenomorph takes on characteristics and traits of whatever the host is, as well as the xenomorph it comes from. So that's like why in Alien 3 you have the dog aliens. So
Okay.
So this one was a xenomorph predator alien. So it's an alien, but it still has traits, and therefore the little iconic mandible claw mouth thing. So that's why.
Yeah.
I hear you. I don't care for it.
But it was such a stupid ending that they completely ignored it for Alien versus Predator Requiem, because the audiences were just like, that's so dumb. And like everything about this movie, it's a 2-star movie, right?
Sure.
Like I can't give it a 1-star because it's not his worst work. It's not his worst movies. But it was definitely a movie that I found hard to get through and very stupid, and just because it goes against so much lore. In fact, it goes against so much lore that they had to decanonize it because it didn't make any freaking sense.
I am so disappointed today.
Why?
Because me and Matt have been dead on every single movie.
We've all been pretty close.
And I thought we were going to fight this week
about this movie?
On this movie in particular.
Man, you were pumped for it, huh?
I was, but oh well.
I've seen this movie multiple times. It's goofy and dumb, and I still watch it. And I like it. I have a good time. I don't know, Pete. It definitely has that stank. I will give you that because I didn't.
This is a stanky.
It's a stanky movie. I will not argue with that
Paul
point.
W.S. Anderson.
I'm giving it 2 stanks out of 5. Because it's got the WS stank on it.
We need to have a stank fest
Oh
someday.
God, you imagine like a PWS Anderson week?
God.
Stank fest.
I mean, that was basically. The Alien Queen doesn't even look as cool as it did in the 80s, man.
Let's talk about her just really quick before we end.
Yeah.
This is an Alien Queen that has been like stuck in a fucking iceberg
for like 10,000 years.
10,000 years. And they just raise it up and like it magically comes back to life.
Where's the electricity coming from?
I don't have any idea.
They like shock it back to life with electricity.
Yeah, that was weird too.
Also, like, how did Antarctica like not ever be like an ice cap? Like, I mean, like I get that it's a continent and all.
Well, it hasn't always been covered with ice.
There's like palm trees and shit.
How do you know?
Because
Science,
they found
bro.
archaeological remains of palm trees,
saber-tooths,
and
the Earth has been here a long time.
Well, the best part of this movie is that first scene where the predators are fighting the aliens. And that should have been the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wish that someone competent had made this movie and had made that happen, because I would have watched the shit out of it. 2 hour, just like aliens versus predators, nonstop fighting each other.
Slugfest.
Or even like the ancient times human sacrifice aspect of it was more interesting.
Give us that movie.
Yeah.
Well, there's a little bit of a flashback of that.
Yeah.
That's
and
what
I
I'm
was
talking
like,
about.
That's like the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
Give me that for sure. Yeah.
Apocalypto with aliens and predators.
I'm telling you,
that's
dude.
what it was.
Jude, you have to watch it.
Okay, I'll do it, but I want someone to watch it with me. Kadish probably won't.
You wouldn't watch it with her?
I don't know
why
she says
my
that. I
voice
love
just
that
went-
movie.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a fantastic fucking movie.
March.
All right,
We haven't
I'll
figured out
rephrase.
March yet.
I need someone to drink with me through it.
Okay, cool.
And Kadish definitely won't.
We'll invite Tom over.
Yeah, Tom. Come on.
It's, I don't know if it's a Tom and Jude movie like night though, because I've been with Tom
You
and
don't
Jude.
know us.
I don't know. It's a pretty rough movie, and it's way better than AVP.
No, but I actually want to watch it, and we
Okay.
tend to talk through things when we watch things.
I'm trying to think. That's it. I don't know. AVP. I enjoy it. It's fun. It's goofy. It's dumb.
Two's
Katie
all
hates
around.
it. Twos ish.
It's
Whatever.
a 2.
Yeah.
It's a two-shift.
It's a 2.
Two-ish. All right, guys. That's it. We're done for today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I guess if we get to 10K by July, we're gonna do some goofy shit to Vader's ass. That's it.
I don't think you meant to say it that way.
Wait, we are?
What? Now we're definitely gonna get there.
Jesus.
False advertising.
And you get to decide what we do.
No, we do not. Fuck you.
So be a part of the process and tell us what we're going to do to his ass.
Where can they find you on the socials?
That just got weird.
I'm sorry. I ruined it.
Matt Vader 74 on the socials: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, other things.
Okay. Jude, where can they find you in the socials?
You can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can find all of us on Facebook at the Salty Nerd Podcast on Facebook.
All right.
And you can find us on Patreon.
Matt Kadish, where can you find me?
You can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter. Kadishbooks.com will take you to my Amazon page where you can check out my books. And also go to saltylist.com to sign up for our newsletter.
All right. And you guys can catch me on our Discord app. Go to saltynerd.discord.com. That is where the action happens. We love chatting with you guys over there. And that's it for this week. Thank you guys again for joining us. Comment below what your favorite PWS Anderson movie is.
Stinky.
And we'll catch you guys next week. Stay salty, my friends.